What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I just got out of seeing Fantastic Four First Steps. And in this movie, we are with a very veteran and seasoned Fantastic Four team who's been doing the super heroic thing for a minute. So much so that the people of New York adore them for always being there to save their tails when they need them most. Everything is picture perfect until a threat from a different galaxy has come to Earth, set out to destroy it, and the Fantastic Four has to figure out a way to defeat it. So as I do with all of the films, I start with how do I feel about the movie? I absolutely loved it. This by far is the definitive Fantastic Four movie, and this is no slight to the rest of them because I really love the first two, the ones that were with Fox. That was like my introduction to the movie format of the characters, and they did a lot of groundwork in regards to telling an origin story in modern day times. So I do appreciate them for what they are, but this one just does that without being an origin story and then pushes what the Fantastic Four can do even more. To bring that back, because it's not an origin story, you're dropped off right in the middle of things like you would be in a comic book, and I love that part so much because they're able to take things on a whole different level, from going to the cosmos to different galaxies. Everything that's wonky that you've seen in the Jack Kirby comics, it's on full display here, and there's this charm about it that catches me right from the beginning. Like it's so genuine and sincere, and kind of like a little bit hokey, but not the bad kind of hokey, similar to how Captain America First Avengers was. I think that movie captures the essence of like a do-goody type character, because the Fantastic Four are that, honestly. And like the first Avenger, it sticks to its setting so well. This movie takes place in the 60s, and you get that from everything that's on screen, from the cars to the clothes, the way people are talking, to the markets that you see in New York. It's so good. It reminds me of a mix of The Incredibles and the Jetsons brought into live action with the aesthetic, and that part is what sets this movie apart from a lot of the MCU films, and hell, even superhero movies in general. And a big piece of what makes this movie work so well are the characters and the actors. Everybody who is on screen brought their A game. Pedro, I was a little bit worried because he's been in so much stuff, and I thought that Reed was just going to end up feeling like Pedro, but he actually didn't. Like, Pedro really put Reed on full display here through his body language and just the way that he would speak. You could see his mind always working every single time you looked at him. Even if he didn't say anything, you could tell like he was trying to figure out the equation of how to fix things to his detriment and for the better sometimes. And some of the characters will call him out for it just by the way he may stare at the camera, like knowing to figure this problem out is going to take doing something that we don't want to do, but I'm not going to say it, but by my stare. There's a lot of that with him, and I thought he delivered that part great. Vanessa Kirby, I was already sold on being Sue Storm. I mean, she looks the part, and she is the real MVP of the movie because she holds a lot of the emotional weight and warmth of the film. There's a moment when she gives this great speech that is her putting her foot down, but also still being inviting. So you really can't knock what she has just said, because it just is what it is. And she's also an MVP for what she did in the film, because she played a big role in things going the way that they did, and I love that moment is a metaphor for the strength of women going through a certain thing. I don't want to say it because I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. I didn't see anything that presented this concept in a trailer that I saw, so I'm not going to say what that is, but man, just an incredible job from her Sue Storm and her acting. And the actor that played Johnny Storm is another one. I forgot what his name is, but you know who he is. He was playing Eddie in Stranger Things. I really was not sold by him. I thought that wig was like, and I just was getting a little bit of, I don't know, vibes from him, but man, he killed it as well. I like that he wasn't just kind of like the bro who is a hot boy running around talking to female, blah, 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 and just being a himbo in a sense. He was a lot more than just that, and he plays an important role in the movie too. And I love that he tapped into being an intellectual piece of the film and not just being like a physical force that he's usually associated with. He's the Human Torch, which he does do dope things, especially a few scenes like at the beginning. God, he did some dope shit with him, but the fire and all of that is the biggest thing that people see, but he could do more than that, and this movie displayed that perfectly. You cannot forget the thing. I think that he was done at just as good. He wasn't as like boisterous and loud New Yorker talking as he's been seen or associated with. He's a lot more quiet and more of like a father figure in a sense that plays like the protector to the team, just being gentle but also hard hitting when it's necessary. And I thought that balance of who he is was great, even with the concept that is usually used a lot in media, with him not liking himself because of his appearance. They dabble in that, but it's never the focus. You can just kind of see him make these facial expressions and look at things, and it's read without him saying much. And again, show, not tell. Absolutely love what they did with him. And then you have Julia Garner, I believe that's her name, who plays Silver Surfer, who also does a fantastic job of being a surfer, being robotic, straight to the point, but somehow she's able to still show some vulnerability. You definitely get the sense of there's more to her than that. And then we have Galactus. I forgot the actor's name, but his voice is so gruff and perfect to play Galactus. As soon as he starts speaking, hell, before he even starts speaking, he does this hum that's just like, and this theater was rumbling, like you're like, oh shit. Of course, he is a CGI character, but boy, do they get the scope of him down pat. I don't know about y'all, but Deep Space scares the shit out of me just because of the scale of it and just how much of it, is out there. They are able to present that scale on screen, especially in this great action sequence that's a chase involving Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four. Ooh, but you've seen it in the trailer, but it goes further than that. When I saw that part in the trailer, I didn't think that's what it was, but having the context of what it was just makes it that much more incredible, man. And the action overall is pretty stylistic. I mean, it opens with a nice set piece that kind of sets the tone of what I was saying earlier about this being a team that's been around for a while. And I believe it does do so much justice with showing how powerful these characters actually are. And speaking of characters, the score is awesome because you have Michael Giacchino, I believe is his name. If I messed it up, excuse me. But he is one of my favorite composers of film in the modern day time. Everything that he does is just so grand and orchestral, bringing that classic feel to these superhero films and anything that he does for real. But he definitely dabbles in the space of comic books, and he's able to just bring what you would imagine a comic book would sound like to life with his score. So that element of it was chef's kiss. The cinematography is beautiful. There are so many shots in here that you can just frame that look like they're ripped straight from a panel and put on a screen. The VFX are all great. The action's good. The performances are there. The emotion is heavy. And I will say too that it's not set up like the typical MCU film where it's like joke, quip, joke, quip, joke, quip. I think that there is humor in here, but it's all situational with the characters bouncing off of each other. But for the most part, it's a pretty serious movie, especially with the material that you're dealing with. Again, gotta see it and feel it to understand where I'm coming from. There's only like one moment that I was kind of like, I don't know if that would be said or done from a superhero standpoint, but I understand why they did it because it is a part of the story to get the ball rolling. But Reed makes this announcement and it just kind of has me like, I don't know if he really would say that to the people of New York, because I feel like that would stir the pot entirely too much as you see what happens in the movie. And of course that's what it's there for, but just from a heroic standpoint and what I've seen from heroes like Reed who are highly intelligent, I don't know if they would have handled that way, but it's still not too much of a damper for me. So overall, without getting into spoilers, I love this film, and this will be one that I pick up on Steelbook. Again, the definitive Fantastic Four movie. If you've seen the Fantastic Four first steps, let me know in the comments what you thought. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, and if you already are subscribed, thank you, and until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.